Growing. How's everybody doing tonight? Good. Can you hear me? Everyone's so far back. Oh my. Well, thank you guys for being here. I know there's many things you guys could be doing tonight. We want to thank you for taking the time to be here with us tonight. Whether you're here as a friend or a relative come to support somebody or simply help us with the growth of the company, we want to thank you for taking the time to be here with us tonight. Tonight you're going to hear from several speakers. The first speaker you're going to hear from is Robin Sears. Robin Sears is going to talk to you about a problem that's happening across America right now, a problem that's real and it's affecting everybody. And then David Camacho is going to be talking about solution to that problem. It's only needed but vital. And then Great Sears is going to tie in the movie, bring everything together and talk to you about the opportunities we have in front of us. So please help me welcome Robin Sears. That was awesome.
I know. You know, if I take this railway, then you guys will no, wait. Seriously. Well, I'm not. Right? Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. One of the things that I really want to emphasize tonight and want to thank the people who are here supporting other people, because we talk about this a lot, but the truth of the matter is that the problem we're going to talk about tonight, that all of you have heard about, and the solution that we really believe in, can't actually work if we don't have the support to do it. There just aren't enough of us. I wish it were otherwise sometimes, and it's not. And so whatever support you can provide the person who's in this room tonight, who's actually dedicated to being a great direct part of that solution, simply being here with that person makes a difference, because it allows us to be inspired every day to continue on this journey to close this gap. So let's review this gap that we're talking about, right? We talked about the fact that at the top of the chain are the wealthy people. And the wealthy people have access to education and ownership and financial freedom and financial guidance because they have money. But the truth is that it's not only money that keeps people at the top. It's the traditions that are established by these families that are passed down generation after generation that keeps people up there. Well, down. And there are hundreds of thousands of people that I talk about wake up every day to provide services to the folks at the top because they can pay for it. And so that's never changing. And in this great country, we've decided to take care of the people who need it the most. And we offer them free preschool and college grants and financial support and hundreds of thousands of nonprofits and churches and government programs are available to support people who have almost nothing. And we want that in our society. And this isn't changing either. There will always be people who have less than everybody else. And the reason we're here tonight is about what's happening, right? The folks that we call Main Street families, which I call everybody else, right? It's really anyone who's living, for the most part, paycheck to paycheck. Anyone who wants their kids to go to college and can't afford to pay for it. Anyone who would like to own a business and can't write a $500,000 check to open it up. Anyone who wants their kids to go to preschool and don't qualify for free preschool, but can't actually afford 5 days a week at $600. These are the folks that we're talking about. Mainstream families, our communities. But what does this really mean in our lives? Like, I've never told this story to someone and had them disagree with me. No one's ever argued with me and said, no, they're not wealthy people at the top, and they're not wealthy people, people who don't have anything at the bottom, and there's not this huge gap in the middle. That is simply the way that we've come to be organized. And the real issue is that this gap is growing. And part of the reason it's not changing is that the system isn't designed for it to change, number one. And number two, we're okay with it because we don't know anything better. But what does this really mean for each of us individually? If you're part of the so-called baby boomers, if you're looking to retire soon, what this means in statistics is that most of you actually don't even have savings to cover your annual income, and a third have nothing. It's pretty hard to retire on nothing. Pensions. This is a group of people whose parents got to rely on a certain dollar amount coming in every month when they retired. And these folks are not going to retire with that. If they're lucky, they're retiring a 401k program, which means they're getting a lump sum of money. And all that's happened is the companies and government have transferred the risk of taking care of ourselves when we retire to us. And finally, and I think for me the most challenging, is that over 70% of 65-year-olds that they polled, over 70% said that they weren't going to be able to retire when they thought they were going to retire. What does that mean when you thought retirement was 5 years away? How does that impact you and your family? So I call them the crisis generation. Because the challenge of saving enough money in those last final years when you finally figure out what's going on is a crisis. And then we have Gen X, Gen Y, which apparently I'm part of. We're youngish. We have a little bit more time to save. So we're like, we're okay, we're finding out about it now. But here's the truth. My generation is taking out more loans and early withdrawals on their retirement account than any generation prior. So we're doing it right, and then we're actually taking the money out. We can't afford preschool, we don't qualify for the grant, and we would love to own it, and we don't have the capital, and so we're stuck being employees trying to make enough money to take care of our families. Barely. We're stuck. We don't even know it. And then finally, I got Tate's generation. Apparently, you're part of the millennials. Isn't that fancy? So what's happening down here? Truthfully, and I love that Tate's in the audience, I appreciate you being here because you guys are the most idealistic generation we've ever had. And yet the reality that you're facing right now is that 42% of folks polled said debt is their biggest concern. Tuition in only the last 7 years is up 40% to go to college, and loans are up 70%. Imagine this, 70% of the millennials that they polled thought that they need $36,000 a year in order to retire. And at the most basic level, they actually spend an average spend was $26,000 in 2013. If someone is 21 years old and thinks that 40 years from now they're only going to need $36,000 to retire, what's the likelihood they're going to save enough? And it's the worst job market ever. And the truth is that a lot of us talk about it being the fault of the millennials and their attitude, and it's not. It's the world that's available to them. Because they're coming out of college and they're stuck in low-wage jobs. Highest unemployment rate for this group in decades. So this is the reality of the situation, no matter how idealistic we want to be. And so right now, unless we make a change, this is the screw generation. Because you're going to have more debt and less opportunities than many of these other generations. With the good news being, you have the most time to change. That's what we're here about tonight. Right? The first part of this conversation is recognizing that there's a problem, and the most important part for us is that if there was a way it could be different, what kind of impact could that have? See, we're here tonight because we can actually offer a solution. Otherwise, it would be really, right? Well, you're like, really, something you brought me here, so I just hear about how horrible life's going to be. No, that's not what it's about. It's about finding out what we can do about it to make a difference in our lives, in our kids' life if we have them, in our hopeful grandchildren's life if we have them. That's why we're here tonight. And we can't do it if we don't share this story as many times as we possibly can so that people can hear the problem, acknowledge the problem, recognize there's a problem, and learn that there's also a solution. So with that, I'm going to invite David up here to share with you the first part of our solution. Thank you.
So, once again, thank you for coming in tonight. Robin is right. There is a problem that's great. Just to share with you, the first part of the solution. How do we access? How do we have access to financial security? Right? What do the wealthy? How do the wealthy think about money? And what the wealthy do not create? Now, the wealthy live by 4 principles. And these 4 principles are simply locking their hands for account, developing habits, leveraging experts, and cultivating strategic partnerships. Now, a little bit more focused on the strategic partnership is it's very important because we in this office have cultivated a strategic partnership with Primerica. And Primerica has been in business since 1977, has $3 billion in market capitalization. All that means is that they have cash. I mean, they have money. They've been in the game for a while, they're going up. And what they do is that they actually have a track record delivering for major guys. This gap that right on the side. You know? So if they can give you the services and tools of the wealthy and bring it down to the people who have stuff, it's a big help. Not only that, we're on the way to Primerica to be one of the most trustworthy financial companies since 2015. And how does Primerica and us, how do we help our nation out? Let's go back to the principles, right? Locking the hands for that. What do the wealthy do? The wealthy have money, they have trust. If something happens to them, they pass that down to their generation. How does someone like me do this? And how does Primerica help us? Leveraging insurance, right? I don't have a lot of money, I don't have trust. But what I can do, I can run a bag of money, and if I pass away or something happens to me, my daughter and my wife get to move on, and money is not an issue. It often happens. What do you love to do? Save money. How do we team up with America and deliver these services to basic families? We do this. I'm getting better at saving money, just like anybody else. By applying the building habits principle, $25 a month can help me start saving money. Can become $50, can become $100. The more I do it, the more I save. Leveraging experts. How do we leverage experts? How do we help our families? Manage accounts. Team of people, team of experts that wake up every morning to help me find accounts that can help me keep my money for retirement, to pass it on to my generations. Very similar to what Ron talked about, right? People wake up every morning to help the wealthy stay wealthy. And let's leverage their expertise. Example, the Rule 72. Who's heard of the Rule 72? I'm happy that I now know the Rule 72 correct. But if I were at a young age, 17 years old, it's a perfect time to know the Rule 72. What the Rule 72 states is if you divide the number 72 by any interest rate, they will tell you how long it will take for your money to pay. So let's say that by you all coming here tonight, you all receive $12,000. You guys are like, $10,000. And you guys get invested today. Let's say that you invested at 3%. 72 divided by 3 is 24. Meaning that $10,000 a year back for 24 years. 72 divided by 3 is 24 is 20,000. You add another 24 years, add 48 years in, you have $40,000. So let's add 48 years together. I'm not happy right now. I'm not so happy, right? But you got money. You're okay with 48 years. Let's imagine we find 6%. Same concept. 6 divided by 72 just means that we get a double period at 12 years. 20 at 24 years, 40,000. At the same 48 years, 160,000. Give me a little bit more excited. I'm like, somebody was talking about. I'd be excited. Let's imagine 12%. 12 divided by 72 is 6. You get an average of 6 double periods in the same amount of time. By the end, $2.5 million is the same 48 years. Now, if you can choose the bag of money, which one would you choose? I would choose the $2.5 million. But nobody ever taught me this. Nobody ever taught me how to get $40,000. Till this day, there's nobody out there coming and knocking on anybody's door. This is leveraging mastery. If I can have mastery that I can call on the phone and tell them, hey, let me get that $2.5 million. Now, comes on to our last principle. Cultivating strategic partnership. Remember, not only do they help us with major families, but they serve us and give us the tools to do it. Applying these principles to my life, it's going to allow me to have a 2 to 3 generation game. If I teach these principles, and I have these principles, I will be financially secure. Not only will I be financially secure, but my daughter will be financially secure because I will teach her these principles. My daughter's grandparents, they will have a legitimate shot to be financially free because of the generation change on these principles. Not only that, America's a big advocate, and we are our partner, and everybody in this room is our biggest assets, advocates, right? Our story hasn't been proven. I think the newest guest here is yourself. So we need to actually get out there and start talking to people. Not only that, tell them your story. Because it's a big help. It's changing my life. And the way it's changed my life, I have found this strategic partnership. The next speaker coming up is right here. Consider him my partner. I consider him my mentor. And he's going to talk to me about one generation income that can literally change your life.
So funny. It's funny watching people grow. So like Yubi had at the last minute had to come up here and speak, and I remember the first time Yubi spoke, he was like, "I'll do it," but was a little apprehensive and nervous, and literally this was no big deal, came up here and crushed it. And then that's the second, third time Dave was and I'm watching people grow. That's so fun. Because talking in front of folks and trying to get a point across is a challenging thing. It's really strange having everyone really far back. So it's one of those things. I'm not gonna make you move, but we're just great. So my job is to kind of tie everything together, and I'm really, really excited about this. I've had an interesting day. I've had a lot of fun with my friend Dave. He's had a bunch of stuff that's going on. Every 2 hours, he's come in and we talked, and I'm like. And every time that happens, it just fires me up. But one of the things we're going to talk about tonight is that real change is possible, right? And sometimes that can sound hokey. Sometimes that sounds like a catchphrase, or people kind of feels like we're trying to be convinced, right? Because most of us have lived the same life over and over and over again, the same year over again. We watch what our parents have done, what our friends have done, and things just don't seem to change. Right? But see, one of the things, if we want real change to be possible, one of the things we have to do is actually be able to give language to something. We have to be able to decide and be able to describe what is the problem, right? Because a lot of times, we just kind of tread through water. We just kind of go through. Well, we realize that 70 million families are stuck, And the big problem is, right, Rob talked about percent, but it's that we don't know it, that no one's frustrated, that no one's mad. It's just the way it is. Well, as long as we believe this is just the way it is, the way it's always going to be, is it ever going to change? No. Well, that's a pretty significant problem. So in this room, we said, look, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stand at the top of the top of our lungs that this is a problem. And sooner or later, there's going to be a group of people that hear it and go, okay, wait a second. Yes, this is a legitimate problem. But see, the next thing we've got to do is we've got to be able to have a solution. Right? It's one thing to say, hey, everything sucks. Good luck. Right? No, it says, look, yes, this is a problem, but we've actually got a solution that's created and validated. By delivering access to the way the wealthy think and what they do is a fundamental way to make a legitimate change. Right? The most successful people I know are not smarter than you and I. But if they know how to do different things, can't they do them? Right? The first time you learn to do something, most of the time, don't you screw up. Right? But then if you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again, pretty soon it becomes very, very natural. Again, the first time you spoke, it was, right? It was quiet and shy and uncomfortable. Now he's like, he's got it nailed. What does that mean? That means he's better at it. That means he's more familiar with it. That means it's not as scary. That means it can be delivered a little bit better. We're watching David get a little bit clearer and a little bit better. By the end of the month, he's going to be significantly stronger and get better. By the end of the year, he's going to be unbelievable at it because every step is valuable. That's what we can do to this group of people. Is by understanding these four principles and understanding that you and I don't have to start over. Right? That when things don't go well, that's not a loss. It's an opportunity to learn. That we get to have habits, we get to develop relationships and have other people help us. To know that stuff allows our life to get a little bit faster, a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier than the idea of feeling like we got to take on the world alone. Because we've all had that feeling too. It feels like everything's caving in. No one understands it. It's just us. Well, it's hard to be inspired in that moment, right or wrong. Now, I have a question. How many of us have ever self-induced the alone process? Like there's people around us that are there to help and we shut down because it's just that habit, right? So the question becomes, we can have this, so we can give language to the problem, we can have the solution. How in the world do we deliver a solution to a group of people who don't know that they actually need a solution? That's the biggest dilemma. Look, we like to brag about Primerica, the financial services industry. Every financial services company in the industry is trying to solve this type of a problem because it's a huge market. The problem is, how do you actually get a group of people to hear you that don't know? Well, we said, look, if we could deliver the solution to the people who need it, we could solve that one generation problem well. We said, look, we've got to be able to deliver it, but we also have to be able to solve this next piece. Because if we stand up and say our number one job is to close this access, and David went through and said, if you save and invest, if you live below your means, and if you put your money together, you have a long-term plan, you absolutely can get financially secure in one generation. But it will take 2 to 3 generations for your family to get wealthy. Well, how can our crusade be provide wealth if it's going to take 2 generations? Because that means you can't ever accomplish it. But we said, look, if we're actually going to do this, we have to have a 1-generation plan as well. We have to have a mechanism to deliver this, and that's how things came together. We said, if we could provide access to ownership by delivering these solutions to that group of people, we could make such an impact in tomorrow. And that's why you're here. This is what tonight's about. It's about the legitimate opportunity to solve this dilemma and make the impact. Well, how? Well, we've got to have key needs for all different groups in this room. There's different generations, there are different ethnicities, right? We all come at the world a little bit differently. How do we show up to a meeting and say, here's one solution for every other group of people? It's about being able to reach and realize something. We all want the ability to build something for our family. Not what I think is important. Aren't you sick and tired of someone telling you what you think that should be important? Like what you prioritize is what you prioritize. Why can't that be enough? Why can't that be strength? Right? The ability to start where you stand and create what you need for your life. I have a 13-year-old son, an 11-year-old son, and almost 1-year-old twins. I have very specific needs in my life. Tag is a 17, almost 18-year-old young man with no children. He has different needs in his life, right or wrong. See, the reality is that both of us get to say, we get to build what's important for us, where we are, and what it is that we want. What's important to the person sitting in your chair, and how do you deliver on that? And then the ability to be in charge of how big or how small. How much flexibility and freedom. See, I don't care if you're a baby boomer, or Gen X, or millennial, or the next group. All of us can trigger this because this is about creating a space to solve the real dilemma, which is how do you and I make sure that our world changes? And so we said, all right, we want to attract a bunch of people. Here's the second flip to this problem. We're all motivated differently, aren't we? See, I know folks that love making an impact. Like they watch, commercials on TV with like the little kid, and they start crying, and like every time they talk to someone with a bleed, like that. You guys all know those people, right? Some of you are those people, right? Bob specifically, right? All this stuff, right? And now listen, let's go. I like helping people. Like I like making an impact. Like that's really, really important to me. And at the same time, like I've never cried in the middle of a commercial. Right, that's not true, right? When me and Joe Green threw the jersey to the little kid for a Coke and a smile, I got a little teary-eyed, right? So that's right. But see, the reality is there are people in the world that love making an impact. There are some people that love money. Now the dilemma is when we put these two groups of people, everyone seems to judge these people. I know folks, they love it, like they want to drive the newest car, they want to live in the newest neighborhood, they want to go big, and we have a tendency of judging these people like they're bad, which I never really understood. That's just their drive. And then there are some that love to win. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's checkers with your kids. I don't care if it's getting on the freeway. I don't care what it is. Like there's just something inside you that says, doggone it, I have to win. And see, in this room, I'm assuming there's a couple of us that want to make an impact, a couple of us that love profit, a couple of us that love competition. And we said, okay, if again, we put this group of people, we really want to make this change, if we really want to make this impact, do we have to only attract these people or that people? We said, no, what if we can align our goals? What if we can create it where the people who love making an impact literally make enough money to take care of their family and win absolutely everything? So they get to concentrate on being emotional and making an impact about changing people's lives, but they know that their world is going to change along the way. The folks that love making money, the only way they get really profitable is by changing people's lives, and they're going to win absolutely everything. So it's not about changing your motivation, it's about celebrating who you are, but understanding the next piece has come. And for some of us that are competitive as all get out, look, the only way you win is by making a huge impact, and unfortunately or fortunately, your butt's going to get rich. See, the challenge in our country, one of the biggest ones, is we have a tendency to have an or philosophy. You can help a bunch of people, or you can focus on making a bunch of money. Oh, you want to be a school teacher, you want to be a social worker, you want to be a fireman, okay, you're going to have this, right? You're going to change people's lives, but I don't know how you're going to make enough money. Or you're going to go make a bunch of money, and hey, as long as we're not killing anyone, I guess it's okay. We say, why can't we build an and philosophy? Why can't we surround ourselves with people who want to make an impact or win or free or whatever, and bring the others along with them? The opportunity to reach people, right? I talk about the fact that you have the opportunity to change the world by changing your own. Or you have the opportunity to change your world by changing the world. Wherever the drive is, you don't have to be anything other than the person you are when you walk through the door, and just get a little bit cleaner and a little bit better at being able to reach the phone. See, we are a business incubator designed on purpose to create and sustain high-level entrepreneurs. We find folks that say, I'm not where I want to be. If someone would show me, I do. And we said, look, why do we got to reinvent the wheel? Why can't we take the experience of 40 years of business, a significant amount of education, put it together and say, look, here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3. If someone laid out a plan and then helped you every step of the way to make it a reality, do you think you could be more successful than if you took on the world alone? See, we all want to, like, that validation from one Main Street family was like, I figured it out on my own. You know who almost never says that? Rich people. Never met rich people like, yep, figured out everything on my own. I did it all by myself. That's like the fairy tales we tell our kids because we want them to y'all are inside of them. It's always about people they know, the relationships they've got, and that's what we said, okay, how do we start when we say we do? Well, the reality is, if we're going to build, we're going to make an impact, we need active people to participate in our program. Now, our business, tonight we call it our AAA'z Night. It's our allies, our advocates, our associates. Tonight's about support. It's about understanding what we're doing and why. But the next couple minutes, I'm going to talk about the impact of what our opportunity is, what the person that invited you tonight is doing and why they're doing it. Now, we're going to open the opportunity because we're going to expand and we're going to grow and we need to make this. But we really want you to understand why we come from the direction that we do. Why do we make the choices that we make? See, the reality is, we could have the greatest opportunity in the history of the world. If it costs $500,000, are most of us going to take advantage of it? Why? Because it's not good? No. Because we don't have the $500,000. Like, this isn't a complicated thing. So we have out serious. We said we can't have it. What we need to be able to do is we need to be able to harness the entrepreneurial spirit. Tonight isn't ever about convincing someone to do something different. It's about finding the person, finding the people that have that spirit inside that says, I know I'm supposed to do something. There's something inside me that says there's a calling. I'm supposed to make an impact. I'm supposed to change my life. I'm supposed to be a leader. I'm supposed to be somebody. Or I just want to change. I don't want to feel like this anymore. Wherever it comes from. The ability to harness that spirit is the most important thing we can do. We need to build a partnership platform, a leverageable system. Why? Truth of the matter is, we're in the financial services industry, and I don't really care about the financial services industry. That might be a problem. See, I don't dream about asset allocation and standard deviations and investment profiles, but all that stuff's important. So the question is, how do we make sure that the right services get to the right people? We said, well, what if we could build a partnership model? America's got 2,000 people in Duluth, Georgia, who love building models and financial services products and systems and supporting them. It's what they do. It's what they went to school for. It's what they love. They do it all the time. And we're like, man, either I have to get that good and I have no interest in you, or we could know them and let them do their job. We could have a back office that's amazing at the administration side, because that is definitely not my expertise. But it's really important to have high quality level client services, isn't it? So we said, if we could have an amazing financial service company with a phenomenal track record, amazing back office customer support, and we have the ability to just share our story and leverage our partners, it allows us to attract the best of the best. It allows us to attract the folks who say, I recognize that there's a problem, I want to be part of the solution, but I don't got to be all things, all people. And then at the end of the day, guys, it's got to be worth it. The reason Primerica's done what we did do is we are the best part-time opportunity managers. And the number one reason is we have a transitional path. We are not looking for necessarily people who want to get great at financial services marketing, good at insurance and investment. There's 70 million families that are stuck. And the only way we have a legitimate shot to solve it is for them to realize and to hear the story that there's resources and tools available. So we've got to figure out, how do we get those stories to people that know? Well, the 20 of us aren't going to change the world. The 20 of us could grow to 50, right? Or 50 could grow to 100. The challenge is, if you come to an amazing meeting, you're like, oh my God, this is unbelievable, this is fantastic, and you go to your job and you quit your job tomorrow and you come do something you've never done before. That's crazy. We said, how do we attract great people that already have good things going? Can I assume that none of you have been laying by the phone for the last 2 years going, I really hope someone offers me an opportunity, I really hope, and not doing anything to build your life? I'm assuming most of us have been doing everything we possibly can in our lives to build our life before this opportunity showed up. We said, look, if you could maintain your job and let your job be the reason you can be an entrepreneur, let your job be the reason that you can develop the skills, let your job be the reason that you can develop the support system, let your job be the reason you can grow your capital reserves. Your job allows you, they're going to pay you over the next 3 months, 6 months, year, 2 years. however long it takes to develop the skills and resources to legitimately become a true entrepreneur and then to be able to transition out, couldn't that give you security to make an impact and not stress? It allows us to attract the single best people. See, our business is built on this concept that there's a role for all of us. See, our allies are the most important people we know. Because we said, man, we can't do anything unless the people in our lives understand what we're doing. So one of the questions we always ask is, do you believe that if there was a way to help this group of people change the way they approach money, that would be a positive impact? And most of us agree that that's a good thing. Right? That's our allies. It's not any more complicated than that. Now, our advocates are the folks that say, look, I know someone in the middle of tonight, someone in the middle of this conversation tonight, if someone popped into your head like, oh my God, they totally need to hear this. And you turn to the person that brought you and said, okay, before there's someone you can talk to, that's our opportunity for an advocate. Now, maybe it's tonight, maybe it's a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. The opportunity to be emotionally connected to our cause, emotionally connected to the impact we want to make, because we're not going to reach everybody unless some of them show up. And there are some that say, this is an important story. And if I could change the world and change mine, that would be great. If I could change mine by changing the world, that would be great. What's the opportunity look like? Those are our associates. We created a position we call our gaps, one of my favorite things. Because there are folks every once in a while sit down and say, seriously, I have no interest in the business at all. And I'm like, I totally get it. But see, one of the things you got to remember is that there's 10,000 people turning 65 years old every day for the next 19 years. Robin talked earlier about this is the first group of people that's ever had access to a 401k. Their parents had pensions. So when they retired, they got a check for $1,800. Now instead of getting a check for $1,800, they're going to have a piece of paper with $671,000. What's the likelihood of your aunt having any idea what to do with $671,000 with this piece of paper? What's the likelihood of her being taken advantage of based on the history of our industry? Pretty good? What happened if you had the ability to say, Ann, I want you to talk to somebody, I've got licensed with this, they're the experts, I'm spare time, I'm not really doing it, but I know a little bit, and I know this guy, or I know this gal, I know these people, you need to sit with them, and we have the opportunity to help them move that money into the active managed accounts. So they have the right tools, the right resources, so that your aunt got that information. Would that be a positive thing? Well, the other thing is that $5 million in assets under management pays about $1,800 a month to our gap part-time. The average Social Security check is $1,269. What if over the next 3 years, or 5 years, or 10 years, you accumulated a couple $1 million, you had your license, and you just introduced them folks and got that information? Would an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month of passive income make an impact in your life? What if you're 18 years old and by the time you're 30, you get an extra couple $1,000? Would that make an impact on your life? What if you're in your early 20s, by the time you're 35, would that make an impact on your life? What if you're in your 40s, by the time you're 50, 55, would that make an impact on your life? What if you're 50 and by the time you're 65, you're making more money in passive income than Social Security is paying you? Would that make an impact on your life? See, tonight isn't just about everyone who's going to go change their life. It's about, look, let's make sure that we get the right information to the people's hands that need it. And let's make sure that we make your life, your world a little bit easier. See, we said we want to change your world by changing. But what does it mean to change your world? For some of us, an extra $1,000 completely changes our world. There are going to be some part-timers that say, wait a second, man, if I could help people with this, what if I actively did it? I love my job, but what if I actively tried to help 1 or 2 families a month? While I did that, what would it be? Well, if we help the family lock in their advance and develop the habits, we pay $200 to $900 every time we make that impact. So let's say it's Christmas, or it's your kid's birthday, or you want to go to Disneyland, or you want to go on vacation, or you needed to fund your Roth IRA. And you had your license and skills, and you called up the person that trained you and said, hey, here's a couple families I know that need to get this information. Can you help me? And we go out and change a couple of families' lives, and we change yours. It's called aligning our goals. There's going to be some that are like, yeah, you know that whole, like, I love my job thing? Yeah, that's not. We said, look, what if we let your job be the reason you get to learn? You get to leverage, we call it your cover fire, turn your job into your engine, to pay you and provide the freedom you need to learn how to grow a business from scratch. See, a lot of people dream about owning their business. They start part-time and they do all this stuff and they in their garage and they're figuring out everything. And what they have to do is they have to make a mistake to figure out what not to do. Right? If you open up a dry cleaners, you can't call the guy down the street and say, hey, how'd you do it? Because they're your competition. Here we said, man, keep the security and we'll teach you everything we've learned, every choice we've made, every conversation so that you're not figuring this stuff out on your own. And then there are some that say, okay, what if I want to be a legitimate owner? What if I want to be an entrepreneur? What if this was long-term something that I wanted to do? See, whether it's a gap or part-time or full-time, the positions are always there. We said, look, the benefit of being an owner, the reason that the owner is a one-generation plan is that we have the ability to leverage passive income. Income on work that we did before. We get to create revenue. We get to get focused in a short period of time and to create more movement right now so that we can increase. See, the challenge is right now, if all of you got a $5,000 bill at our job, we can't do much about that. We can't go to our boss and say, hey, I got an extra $5,000 bill. What do I got to do to increase my $5,000? They say, go get another job. See, in a business, you have the ability to say, look, if a need comes in, okay, I can drive my revenue. I can work a little bit harder. I can do a little bit more because I get to be in control of what my needs are. And then there's profit. The ability to leverage passive income revenue in another location. The ability to have somebody else at another time in another place do the same work and be able to benefit. Those three sources is what allows us to get free in one generation. Well, we have that opportunity. America says, look, you find $15 million of assets under management, personally you'll pay $100,000. You teach 30 other people over 6 months or a year, or 2 years or 5 years. You teach 30 people how to make an extra $500 a month and just be able to show that we'll pay another $100,000 in passive income shows up the first of every month. You build an office that helps 30 families a month pay $150,000 to $200,000 a year. And then if you find someone that says, man, they go through this whole process and they're sitting here as this part-timer, this full-timer, and say, man, I want to be an owner, and you teach them how to be successful in business. It's not take a bunch of people and throw them against the wall and say, hey, whoever's motivated, great. It's about how do we align our goals? How do we invest? Like, how do I make sure that your goals and my goals are aligned? Because I'm really good at teaching this, and if you're really good at learning it, and we get you really, really successful, right? You go out and help build a business that helps 15 families a month as an RVP, you make $8,000 to $10,000 a month. Would that make a difference in most of our lives? Yeah. Eric says, right, if it weren't for you, Mike wouldn't have that ability, so we're going to pay you about $6,200 as a thank you. That's $72,000 a year in profit. So we have a financial vested interest in teaching people how to sit in this chair for the first time, and if they find out that this is the path that they want to take, show them how to get very, very good as quickly as possible. Well, $172,000. What if you go up 2, 3, 4, 5? What if over the next 5 to 7 years, you say, man, this is a shot. This is where we want to go. Right? The opportunities for ownership, passive income revenue, and profit. $750,000 a year. Now, what's funny is when we do this slide, it's easy to go, well, Brett, the most important thing you're talking about is this. No, it's just the most complicated. So the reality is, whether it's as an ally or as an advocate or as a gap or as a part-timer or as a full-timer as our team owner, we can't make an impact unless people get emotionally connected to the change that we're having. One of my favorite stories, and I tell it all the time, but it was a grandpa and his granddaughter walking down the beach, right? It tells you kind of the story of what this is, right? They're walking down and they're talking, and every once in a while, granddad reaches down, picks up a sand dollar, and throws it in the ocean. And after like 20 or 30 minutes, he does this every once in a while. The granddaughter looks at him and says, Grandma, what are you doing? And he bends down and he reaches up the sand dollar and he goes, sweetheart, these sand dollars are live creatures, but they can't survive out of the water. And she says, Grandpa, she looks up and down the beach, Grandpa, there's thousands of them. They're everywhere. What kind of an impact, what kind of a difference can you make? And he looked at the sand dollar he had in his hand and threw it in the ocean. And he goes, so that one made all the difference in the world. See, the reason we do this is, tonight's not about our team owners. There's going to be a couple that triggers. Tonight's not about our full-timers, or our part-timers, or our gaps, or associates, or others. Tonight's about the fact that there's 70 million folks in this country that stuck. The government's not going to fix it. The system's never going to change. The taxes of Main Street families buys the services for less than economic. And the discretionary income buys the products. The banks and insurance companies and lenders have no interest in the system changing. It's never going to change. But tonight's about this. Unless a group of us standing in the middle of it says, this is, I don't want it to be this way. And maybe we just have to be delusional enough to believe that we're big enough, or strong enough, or smart enough, or fast enough, or work hard enough to actually change it. Or maybe, just maybe, the right story here's the right ears, and all of a sudden people just come together and say, we can actually do this. We've got the right partner. We've got a $3 billion venture capital system, build it as big as you want. Our checks never bounce. We've got the products and services in place in 35-year track record, so you don't have to do that. We've got a back office that says, man, whatever you put through, we will make sure that the clients have amazing service. We'll make sure that the people go through licensing and done. And so we've got that in place. So we get to attract the folks and say, I'm now where I want to be. And I want to be a part of the change. Whether it's as a supporter, whether it's as actively involved, whether it's part of our opportunity, it's a legitimate shot to say that one, it made all the difference. See, our allies, our advocates, our impact, our competitors. There is no right now. There is an opportunity. Possible change. We get to decide how much longer it's going to take so to actually what it is, so we can actually concentrate about this stuff. This isn't something we're figuring out. It's a time. And so I'm going to continue. We're going to be back here next Wednesday night. Our goal is to grow. There's people who need to hear this. There's people who have an opportunity. They're getting ready to retire. They need to know there's an opportunity. They're going to get laid off. There's an opportunity. They're about to have kids. There's an opportunity. There's people that aren't making enough money and they think they're stuck. There's people who have an extra $500 will revolutionize their life. There are people that have that entrepreneurial spirit and they just need a shot. There are people in our lives that fit one of those categories. And they're here. It's not about them buying. It's not about them joining, but it's about them having the opportunity to know that they don't have to figure it out on their own. They don't have to live the same way every day for the rest of their lives. They don't have to live the life their parents and their friends in. That there's a legitimate shot for change. And we're going to be here next Wednesday. And for the folks in Spanish, we're going to be back here on the 25th. Right? We got folks in our lives that are Spanish only. They'll come back in 3 weeks, and we'll have the opportunities totally in Spanish and the opportunity to reach. Guys, we want to make this impact. We want to make this change. Our timing is now. If there's any questions, please, bless you. Hang out. All the leaders be here and get your questions answered. We're back here on Saturday morning from 9 to 11. Right? Jeans and t-shirts, real chill, just kind of like, hey, how does this work? Get your questions answered. Guys, the opportunity is in place. I'm telling you, it is now time for us to do. Thank you so much for coming. Thanks. Thank you.